What is your preferred offensive identity? Like, what do you want to hang your hat on as an offense?
Scoring points.
Do you have any overarching concern that you haven't thrown a touchdown pass in preseason or regular season?
Yeah, our focus is on trying to score points.
Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. Before we get started, it's 9/11. It's 9/11, and we've seen the videos, the clips, the memorials, for the tragedy that happened in 2001. I remember where I was during 9/11. That was my freshman year in college, 18 years old in New Jersey. And yeah, I remember that day. I remember how beautiful that morning was. The sky was blue. And that's something a lot of people, it seemed like a very peaceful morning. Again, I was getting ready for school, this, that, and the third. I get to school, I see the TV, I see the first plane, and everything that happened after that. So first I want to say RIP to the people that lost their lives on 9/11. And since then, I believe it's been like another 300 people that have passed, due to the conditions at Ground Zero. So, RIP to those people as well. Also, prayers to the families of the people that passed, prayers to the survivors that are still here today. And yeah, it's a sad day when you think about 9/11, so many years, after the fact. So just wanted to get that out of the way. So New York Giants football, right? Got to bring it back to football. Oh, man. So it's been a couple of days since that debacle, against the Minnesota Vikings. There's been a lot of things said. I've said a lot of things. And you try to compartmentalize, 1 week versus the next week. But some things are very, very hard to do, especially when you watched what a lot of us watched on Sunday. But again, you have to move on. It is Washington week officially. So just to start off with some of the injuries we have. So Darius Slayton is still in concussion protocol. They did add Darius Mursal with the knee injury to the injury report, and I believe he's supposed to be day to day. But what do I keep telling you guys? Day to day is what? Week to week is I don't even know what's going on. Also, Gunnar Olszewski, who re-injured himself during the warm-ups before the game. That's why Darius Slayton was back there fielding kicks. He did not practice today, and also Nick McLeod did not practice today. So that's all I saw today that was reported as far as people not practicing. I'll say this though. Last week, everybody was excited about the injury report and how nobody was on the injury report. I remember telling people in previous videos about Micah McFadden that's a serious type of groin injury. And I didn't expect him to be back. He could be a possible guy that they put on the IR or the PUP list. But because of the depth at linebacker, you probably won't see it. And I think that's exactly what happened because Micah McFadden didn't play a snap last week. Also, who didn't really play a snap outside of special teams was Isaiah Simmons. But that's another thing I'm not trying to talk about last week. Let's move forward. Let's try to move forward. So Brian Daboll was at the podium today, and I can tell you something about his body language. The man is not happy. He is not happy at all. You figure the game was 3 days ago, and he still seems just as mad as he was in the post game. And a lot of people will say, well, what is he mad at? It's his fault that the team looks this way. And yes, he holds a lot of that blame. Joe Schoen holds a lot of that blame. Shane Bowen, can hold a lot of that blame as well. And a lot of that, also goes on a quarterback. So they asked him a question. You saw the clip. What can the New York Giants do, to be better? And he said scoring points. Keep it real simple, right? We need to score more points, scoring points. Well, we didn't score any touchdowns. It was all field goals, but scoring points. He was also asked a question in regards to Malik Nabers. How do you get Malik Nabers more involved? He said, you got to throw him the ball. And just looking at those two quotes, scoring more points and you got to throw him the ball, that only makes me think of one thing. There's only two people to blame in this situation. Either those two guys are going to be Brian Dable, who drew up the game plan against the Vikings, and also the quarterback being able to execute and throw to the open guys. And I tell you this right now, Brian Dable is probably, yes, he's a little mad at himself, but he's probably fuming when he's thinking about what Daniel Jones is doing. He did also say that it's important that, guys pick each other up in the locker room. That, 16 other teams also lost, their week one. But I'm not worried about, these teams, these other teams. I'm worried about the New York Giants and what we're doing. And right now, when you think about it, Daniel Jones, number one, Drew Lock, really don't know how injured he still is. Tommy DeVito is what it is. The state of the room is not in a good place. And I go back to thinking about Hard Knocks and Joe Shane just saying, I'm happy with the room right now. So what was a Hard Knocks or one of those pressers? He's talking about he's happy with the room, happy with the quarterback room. And we know that we won't hear from Shane to the bye week most likely. And I'm pretty sure, depending on what happens in the next game, in the next few games or the next games until we get to the bye week, we'll see what he has to say about that quarterback room. Or if it's really bad, we'll probably see some changes when it comes to the quarterback and even that quarterback room. So Brian Dable did mention today, as far as strategy going against the Washington Commanders and, Malik Nabers being the topic, that it's important. Or he said he would move Malik Nabers around, to try to get him the ball. And I said it in the pre-draft before we even had Malik Nabers. And then once we got Malik Nabers, when you look at how he was used at LSU, a bulk of his touches, a bulk of his yards came out of the slot position. It came out of the slot position. And for me, I think you have to go back to that. We noticed in this game against the Minnesota Vikings that they started to use him in motion and move him around to make it that the corners couldn't press him. And you saw, the times that he did get the ball, he was coming out of motion and stuff like that. So I think you still need to continue to do that, but also, heavy slot. You have to use him in the slot. If you go back and look at the film on Malik Nabers, a lot of those big wild plays, now again, he made plays all over the field, but a lot of those plays came from the outside. He also talked about Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback, for the Washington Commanders, and he knows Jaden Daniels. They did a lot of work on Jaden Daniels during the draft process. When Brian Dable was asked by Joe Shane, would you trade up for Jaden Daniels, he told him yes. So he's a fan of Jaden Daniels. He did say, how explosive he is. He's a playmaker. He can scramble, this, that, and the third, things we already know. And how do you prepare for that? But he said, they did a lot of work on him. They're going to prepare their defense, for Jaden Daniels the best way they can. Now, here's the thing. When you run that scout offense, who runs the quarterback? You can't put Tommy DeVito back there to mimic Jaden Daniels. What are you going to use a wide receiver, running back, or something like that? And when you're scouting them, just some things that I think about when you're preparing for a team and a dynamic quarterback like what Jaden Daniels is. But just want to talk about that's the notes I have, for as far as updates, injuries, Brian Dable at the presser. I really don't talk about practices too much because they keep a lot of things under wrap as far as what they're doing, what they're working on. They did say that Malik Nabers will move around a lot more. But just thinking about guys that need to step up this week. Obviously, quarterback play needs to be better. I like the way the offensive line looked. They can also be better. Shout out to Andrew Thomas, top-ranked tackle, according to PFF for the week. But it has to be better all the way around. Obviously, there were a lot of drops as well. Bad passes, and you had some drops. Theo Johnson had some drops. Slayton had a drop. I believe Nabers did have a drop early. Guys have to clean a lot of things up. But at the end of the day, it's about cleaning up the attitude as well. Us as Giants fans, we can be mad. We can let things, drag along for the whole week. But the players can't do that. Players need to have that short-term memory. They need to, go out there, learn off their mistakes, keep their energy levels up, and get out there and get ready for the Washington Commanders. And hopefully they can block out all the noise that is coming from the fans. Again, rightfully so. I'm not going to tell fans have the right to be upset. Fans have the right to, voice their opinions, respectfully, in certain, venues, not venues, but certain, like social media and stuff like that. I will address one thing. I did see the clips of the fans pretty much heckling Daniel Jones after the game, while he's walking to his car. That's uncalled for. Again, a lot of people are mad. A lot of people don't care, about personal space. But when you're dealing with the human aspect of these players, just have a little bit more respect for what these guys are going through. I'll keep it at that. But again, fans have the right to be mad. Fans have the right to voice their opinions. And right now, nobody's happy. Nobody's happy. And it's going to take a big performance against the Washington Commanders to get the fan base back on the side of this organization. Not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying it's going to be a tall task. And my personal opinion is beating the Washington Commanders is not enough. I need you to beat the Washington Commanders, beat the Cleveland Browns, and show up against Dallas before I start feeling any kind of, okay with what this organization is putting out there. But that's just me. One game at a time. I'll keep it with the Washington Commanders. But guys like Tibbs, guys like Brian Burns, we need you guys to show up. Tibbs tends to show up a lot when it comes to the Washington Commanders, but Brian Burns, we need a showing from you. Dexter Lawrence is Dexter Lawrence, but he needs all the help that he can get. Bobby Okereke had an okay game, but it was okay. Isaiah Simmons barely even played. I'm pretty sure he's going to play this week. When it comes to Cordell Flott and the rest of the secondary, you guys have to keep everything in front of you. You can't give up the big plays. You can't make those mental mistakes. Tyler Nubin, Andrew Phillips, keep that same energy. That's one thing that I did like that I saw in that game against the Vikings. Tyler Nubin, energy, big hits. Andrew Phillips, energy, big hits. And hopefully the young guys can, if they're not getting the energy from the older guys, from the vets, they can also provide the energy to try to pick everybody else up as well. So I'm just hoping that the New York Giants show that they're not dead. You know what I mean? I need them to show that they're still fighting. It's still, only one loss on the record. We have to go into Washington and we have to make a statement, if at all possible. Now, do I believe it can happen? I don't know. Right now, I would lean no because of what I saw. And again, I still have that hangover from the loss on Sunday. But I need these New York Giants because, I'm always rooting for a win. And I need these guys to go out and bring a win back, for this organization and for this fan base. So that's going to be the video. Not a real preview of the game. Maybe I'll just throw this up as an update, for practice and injury reports. But we'll see what happens with that. Plan on going live this week. Make sure your notifications are turned on. But outside of that, I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.